Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Drop Frames. Sorry we took a little bit longer. I had to rebuild the show and get chroma keys and all this nonsense. It was a shit show in here.
It was a doozy.
It was a doozy. But we got Chris, who's adjusting his camera as we speak. I just saw the color change. So
yeah, I just realized that it was default. Sorry.
No, it's good. It's good. I'll just.
Can we turn him up a little bit?
Yeah. No, I'm gonna turn him up.
Okay.
I got him. He's
Hello. I can turn. Hello. How about this?
Yeah, we both turned him up. Now he's good.
Be a bit louder.
Now he's sultry.
Now he's sultry. Them dulcet tones.
Yeah.
You got some shit on your face. I don't know if you looked in the mirror before.
Yeah, Chris, what
had to be said?
Whoa,
At least
you're all over all the cameras are messed up, so I gotta adjust this stuff. But Chris, when you knew, when you looked and saw that there was 14 million different possibilities, what was it like when you had to talk to Iron Man and tell him just that one thing that would lead him down the right path? You know, how did you decide that that was the way?
It's when you're one of the most powerful magic wielders in the universe, it just comes naturally, I suppose.
I suppose it does.
Follow-up question.
Okay.
How many people exactly are your Huckleberry?
Co, you want to get one in before we get going?
It's your turn, Co.
You look like a musketeer. Okay,
go.
that's it. That's all I got. That's really all I have.
Hey,
I think it looks pretty dapper, to be honest.
Looking like a musketeer and Benedict Cumberbatch, I'll take it, dude.
They're not really like harmful jokes in any ways. If anything, you should be boastful about.
It was a little jarring at first, but it literally grew on me. Like I really.
That's what Erin said. That's the words Erin said. She said it grew on her.
Yeah, it definitely did.
Yeah, it was shocking at first.
It was a little shocking at first.
Yeah.
I think anyone who gets facial hair for the first time after you've known him for a while, it's like that.
Right? Yeah. It's shocking for me. Like, I've never in my whole 36, right? I've never ever grown a mustache more than like 3 days without shaving. So for me, it was kind of like every day I woke up and I was like, whoa.
Now, was this a Shannon thing or was this a you thing? Was this a like, all right, I'm married. She can't escape now. I'm going to try it.
Exactly. Right. She's actually obliged to put up with this. That's how marriage works.
Yeah.
Actually, it's part Shannon. So it's 50%. She watches a lot of Jenna and Julian, and she likes Julian's mustache. Jenna Marbles and Julian.
Oh, okay. All right. I thought
and then it's 50%. You know the cop guy from Stranger Things? She's like, oh, I quite like that look. So this is. I know it's nowhere near as manly as his, but this is as close as I can get for an Englishman.
Okay. Fucking Hopper.
I think it's mainly surprising because A, you've never had one, and B, I did not expect it to be so thick and dark. It looks like you like either like put mascara in it or it's like held on with spirit gum. Like that shit is. I didn't expect it to be so thick and dark. It's beautiful. I'm saying I'm jealous.
What? Look at you. You're majestic, like a mighty yak.
Exactly.
I'm a
beast burden.
We can call you. We give you nice things like, oh, you look like Mr. Strange. You can't say you look like a giant yak. What the fuck?
He's not wrong.
Well, I was gonna say, like,
I said mighty yak in my defense. The mighty yak.
Okay. I don't know if that's maybe it's better.
Of the beast.
Maybe mighty and giant yak. Maybe there is a difference.
Well, I'll tell you this: if I ever find myself feeling too good about myself, I know like that I can talk to Sacriel and he'll
let him know. Yeah.
Put me right I'll be humble again.
Yeah. Everyone knows that about Chris. He's just a raging asshole of all things.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh, of course. That's the rep on Twitch that he has.
It's
why people watch him.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Chris, how's your New Year treating you? How was the Christmas time as a newlywed? How was all that? Shannon's in the chat, so be careful. She's here. She's already around.
Oh, okay. Yes, it was even more special than normal. It's so majestic and special. I really can't even imagine life before marriage. No, it's basically the same in it. We got a dog. We ate good food. I didn't stream for a few days. That's about it, really.
Yeah.
Nothing particularly magic.
That's good. That's good. Everything.
Not yet.
Not yet. Uh-oh.
Oh, just wait.
Yeah, I guess we'll see.
What was your favorite present you received? Say all of them. Trust me.
All of them from Shannon. Say that. Yeah, that's the answer.
Probably my favorite present is just the life I'm about to lead with my beautiful wife.
Nice.
Shannon and I don't really get presents.
I can't stand up. I'm not wearing pants, so I can't. Yeah.
No, we're not really. We buy presents for the dogs and stuff, really, and you know, take care of the house, stuff like that. Mature stuff.
Wait, you got a new dog, right? How's the new dog? Is a fellow new dog owner more of a horse for me, but
your dog's so good.
Oh, careful, sore subject. Careful, JP.
I saw your first stream, JP, when it was your first stream where Aaron let you have the dog. No, it's when you let you have the dog in your room, and you spent like 10 minutes setting up like a cage, and you just picked up the dog and you put it in, and you went, right, he's in there, and you went, okay, chat, and you look back and you went, where the hell is he? And he just already got out, like, and you had to run off. It cracked me up.
Yeah, the dog.
Yeah, no, our dog's like a 2-year rescue, like a rescue from Romania that was on the street for 2 years. So she'd kind of been, you know, eating off the street and sleeping on the street in the rain for 2 years. And she's really skittish and scared of men and stuff. So she was brought in with 3 dogs, and the other 2 got rehomed immediately because she's so skittish and she can jump literally. She's like a ninja. She can jump like 8 feet. So they had a fence that was like 7 feet something, and she was trying to get over it, and she almost did. So a stipulation for us was they were like, show us your back garden, your backyard, because we need to see how high the fences are. And it wasn't even sufficient, and we had to pay someone to make our fences taller. But she just wants to run and escape.
Wow. You paid someone to... Jesus, this dog's already high maintenance.
Right?
That's impressive.
Man. Okay.
But she's settled in now, and she like plays with the other dogs, and they do a little tug of war, and she falls asleep with the other dogs, like rested on them as pillows. And I think she's finally realized, like, oh, okay, I don't have to worry anymore. So yeah, really happy.
Dude, good on you guys, especially in today's day and age when you can pretty much get a perfect dog with enough money. Like that's super cool, you guys, to do that. So rescuing is definitely the way to go. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Also, they make the best dogs long term. Yeah.
Exactly. Like they love you so much. Like I think if you raise a dog from a puppy and it's had a good life its whole life, I guess it's a bit complacent. It's like, yeah, life's great. Whereas if you've got a street dog, it's like, hey, I'm actually warm and I can eat. This is insane.
Well, I seem to have pressed the button I shouldn't have. I'll fix it here in due time.
The illusion shattered.
Yeah. Let me just here.
A turquoise screen instead of a green screen.
Do some magic here, real quick, Dr. Strange.
No, mine's standard chroma key. Yeah, I just have like 4 lights on it, so it's all manner of different colors. Yeah,
there we go. Okay, great. Now it's all fixed. Perfect.
I feel like y'all like looking at me in the bathroom. Okay, there we go. Thank you. Okay.
No, I fixed it. Yeah.
Okay.
It's because there's reasons for all this, but I'm not going to explain it. You guys don't care. Let's talk.
I have a quick question.
Okay, let's do it.
Before we get into gaming. So I knew that you like hot tea. I didn't know you like spicy tea. Can you tell me how much like is that a thing? Is like a new thing in England? Like
sriracha tea, yeah, it's all the rage if you live with a psychopath. Genuinely, I have actual sores on my tongue because you'd be surprised, but the combination of boiling hot tea and sriracha is not a healthy combination for the face cavity. So, like, literally, I have like sores on my tongue. That was fun.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, that was really fun. And then the double no, it was mental. But then she came in and she's like, "Look, it's like the little like pepper things are like hooked into your tongue. Drink this lemon stuff and it'll remove it." And I was like, "Okay, sounds logical." And it was pure lemon essence. So I like mouthful this lemon, thinking it was gonna help because like logically pepper, you know, like the whole milk stops the spicing. So I like downed this like lemon essence, coughed that everywhere. Yeah.
You're too trusting.
We're already considering marriage counseling at this point.
Yeah. Right.
Would that be a case of Shannon being an anti-thought? Because tea here, order tea.
Order tea.
Is what you told me thought stand stood for.
That's what
don't do that with Shannon, right?
No.
Okay.
Tea here, don't order tea.
Now I know.
Jesus.
Wow.
Jesus.
Wow.
More
importantly, why
like,
did you drink fire on tea? Big congrats on your 10K sub.
We hit 10,000 subs. It's insane.
That's awesome. Congrats, man.
Big congrats. For those wondering why he objected
he didn't just, Shannon's not just an asshole to feed him sriracha tea. No, they did it as a 10K thing. Well, Shannon did it as a 10K
welcome
thing.
Welcome to marriage with me. Yeah, here's the tea you need to drink now because you're mine.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I'm going to put toothpaste or something in her... I'll put mouthwash in her champagne to see how she likes it.
That's not... I mean, then she just mouthwash. That's not that.
She just smash the bottom of the floor and grab another.
Yeah.
Shannon.
That champagne hit me harder than normal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that last sentence is like, I'll just put it in her champagne. Like, it's a comment. Like, she just drinks champagne. She puts it on her cereal. You know, like.
Shannon does drink a lot of cereal with champagne. I mean,
she consumes a lot of champagne.
Yeah. That's how it goes. They have a champagne cart over at their house. I've seen it. It's real. It's a real thing. There's also a bottle of nice whiskey next to it, which doesn't get drink, I don't think, in that house at all. So.
No, that's for when you come. She told me.
Yeah, I wasn't going to say that on stream, but yeah, that's why it's there. She specifically
like
bought
in case of JP break glass.
Yeah. All right, let's talk Tarkov, this game that seemingly took over Twitch for kind of the first week and last week of 2020 or 2019, 2020. Is that? Would you agree?
The power of Twitch drops. Oh yeah.
It did have a lot of momentum leading into Twitch drops. Yeah, it had momentum before the Twitch drops, I think.
Well, let's start there then. Because I remember I think the last time you were on the show was when Tarkov had either just come out or maybe you had just gotten into it or something like that. And you specifically, like Co was asking, I remember the conversation like, hey, is this something we should jump into? And he said, not yet. Like, there's still a lot of work to be done. And that was probably like a year ago, maybe. I don't remember the exact date.
It came out somewhere like 2-3 years ago. So I played it on like the first day you could ever play it, and it had like 2 maps and like 3 sets of armor and like 10 guns or something. It was cool. It was like a tech demo back then. And then what I do is I would play it for like a month, once or twice a year. So I play it for a month. I go, okay, I get where it is now, and then I play other games for 6 months, and I come back. And I think that's when you caught me. So it wasn't that it had just come out, but it just had a content in like a patch or whatever. And
I remember
that's when you caught me.
One of the first times, I don't know how long ago this was, but I remember one of the first times you were I saw a clip of you admiring your shadow or something, and then you just got blasted. Yep. But you were admiring like something in the game, and then you saw like someone else come behind you. You were like, "Oh shit!" and you just got fucking like shotgunned or something. 90%
of the game is jump scares. It's like people call it like it's a survival FPS game, but it's a horror game. Like when you're in a dark room.
That's what I told
and you know this.
Like a week ago, when he's like, "You should play it." It's like, dude, I don't like horror games.
It's terrifying. It actually makes people jump out their seat.
Yeah. Yeah. So does that ever change, or is it pretty much like? Does the action ever change from Tarkov, or is it pretty much like that no matter what map? Is that the right vernacular that you're playing?
Yeah, so there's like 8 different maps, and they all have a different feel to them. So like there's one map called Woods, which is all like foresty. So on that map, you don't really get much jump scares. It's kind of like playing DayZ, because you're just moving from tree to tree and bush to bush, and there's a few buildings and stuff. So that's one kind of play style. But then on the other end, there's like a map called Labs, which is like this little enclosed laboratory, and you have to pay 200,000 in-game rubles just to go into the map. So you can't.
Which is a lot.
Which is a lot. It's a decent amount of money. Okay. So when you go in there, you know every other player in there means business. So when you play a normal round, you can go in with a pistol or just a random shotgun you found. If you die, you're like, whatever. On Labs, it's like way more tense because everyone in there paid to get in. So they're going to have good enough gear to defend that investment. And the only AI in that map are the elite AI called Raiders, which are like super hardcore AI. So that map is like a whole different vibe to like something like Woods, where you can kind of run around in the forest and snipe at things. And if you die, you're like, damn it. So yeah, that's what's one of the beauties of the game. Like, depending on how you feel, you can be like, I want CQB, I want sniping, I want tense, I want laid back. You can kind of sculpt the experience to how you feel that day. So if you're not feeling like the super stressful stuff, you can kind of, play on a map and in a style that's more relaxing.
Can you, just for those like me who are completely clueless about the game, can you do a TLDR from like starting the game for the first time and getting to that point, to the point of going to like paying for labs or whatever? Like, how does I just want to know like the basic progression.
Mm-hmm. So when you buy the game, you get given a stash, which is like it's kind of like just a big inventory, like in Diablo or Path of Exile, just like a big open stash where you can store gear, and they give you a bunch of stuff: a few bags, a few pistols, a few shotguns, a couple of AKs, just basic gear really. And you equip what you want to wear onto your character, and then you click on your character and you say, right, I want to play, and it gives you a bunch of maps. You click on a map, you click next, it throws you into a raid. When you're in there, it's kind of like DayZ. You're walking around on your own. It's like one bullet will kill you unless you're wearing really good armor. If you die, you lose everything on your body. there is actually like a little pouch that you can put really special items in, so you get to keep them. So if you find something really valuable, you're like, oh, put it in my pouch thing, and then if someone shoots you in the head and you go back to your stash, you can take the thing up your pouch and put it in your stash, like, oh, at least I got my item. So then you get quests from the vendor. So the quests will be like, kill 10 dudes, or go and find this document in a locked room in this map, or dress this certain way with certain armor and kill 10 of the AI. So you work your way through these quests and you get more gear, more ammo, more meds, more scopes, suppressors, all the different attachments. There's thousands of attachments in the game. And then eventually you get to the point that you're like, hey, I've killed so many people, I have excess gear, so I'm going to sell that on, there's a flea market, which is like the auction house in WoW.
Correction. Some of us get to that point.
Yeah.
Others of us just keep losing the gear we get. We never get to that point.
Sure.
Okay, anyway.
But yeah, you start to sell your stuff and you start to build up your money. You see on the screen there, actually, you see in the top right corner, it says 30 million. That's how much money I had. So for me, 20,000 to get into a map out of my 30 million is nothing. But to someone that's new to the game, 200,000 out of 1 million is like, wow, that's 20% of my money.
Yeah.
So you gradually work your way up. But what's cool is the key that costs 200 grand to get in also very rarely spawns on the AI. So sometimes you just shoot a little AI guy and you run over and you loot his body and you get the key and you're like, this is worth 200 grand. And then so you put it in your little secure container and then you're like, oh, it's safe. And then you can go and do like almost like a free labs run. And then you go in there and you get demolished. And then you come back out again with a new perspective on the game and you carry on grinding.
So
yeah, and for just real quick, for the record, Sakuril and Anthony brought me into labs for the first time, and we were fully geared, and I had an amazing helmet on, and everything was great. And we get into this little back room, and Sakuril and Anthony is also amazing at the game, just like Sakuril, and they're taking up posts, and they're like, okay, now listen, the enemy's coming, like, be ready, watch that door. If you see anything on that door, just shoot at that door right there. And I'm like, okay, I got my little gun, and I'm sitting there in the corner. The second I see a guy peek around that corner, I just hear, flip. And I'm dead.
Yeah. The elite
like,
AI,
and I was
they
in a
react
full
so
gear,
fast.
like all of my best stuff on, like just instantly. Like you watch, I even went back and watched the clip. Like I had about half a second of reaction time before just instantly dead.
How did that make you feel, Ko?
Well, here's the thing, and this is what's interesting about this game. You get to a point where it's just called getting Tarkov, where you're either running out in an open field and you just get shot in the head and you die, or you just got in a big firefight and you pull back to a corner and you're medding up and you think everything's fine, and then all of a sudden you just hear a shotgun blast and you're dead.
Or a grenade lands at your feet.
Oh, exactly. Or that sound where a grenade is PTSD. Just
clink, clink, clink. You're like, okay,
yeah. Oh, it's terrible. So it gets to the point where you just realize, like, no, and honestly, and I'm Sakuril gonna hate hearing this. It actually brings people like me great joy to be watching someone like Sakuril and see him go through the same exact things. Like Sakuril's really, really good at this game, and he still gets Tarkov.
You still get one bang down there.
Once you see that, it makes it, when it happens to you, a lot less. And then when you go in with the experience of, okay, I'm not going to care if I die. I'm not going to care if I lose my gear. I'm just going to try to leave with just that little bit of extra information or that little bit of knowledge learned
to
make my next run just a little bit better. And you just kind of do that over and over and over and over and over. So honestly, when I died in the labs, I went in kind of expecting to die. I knew it was going to be pretty brutal. I didn't know it was going to be that brutal, but I knew it was going to be brutal. So it was the kind of thing where I died and I was just like, whatever. The second time I've ever been into labs with these guys again, I LD'd going in and got separated from the team. And then a stream sniper knew where I was in a corner, like started chucking grenades exactly where I was. It was terrible. Yeah. But even then, it was just like
dead. Is that
I'm sorry. Yeah, I got DC'd. Yeah, I got DC'd.
Oh, okay.
So the thing is if you zone in and you DC, it's not like you go back to the main menu. Your character gets parked in that map. Like you have to go in and you have to finish it. Yeah. So I went back in, and of course they had to move. They couldn't just. They didn't even know where I was going to spawn in. So they had gone off. So I was like alone in the corner of this labs level, like looking around, like, oh god. And then I had a stream sniper after me too. So it was a horror movie essentially. But yeah, even then when I died, I was just kind of like, that's Tarkov. Like that the part of the game is getting your face blasted off. So it's totally okay.
One saying that really goes in with the game is easy come, easy go. Sometimes you go in with a pistol and you just like one tap a guy in the head and you take like 1 million rubles worth of gear. And then sometimes you're wearing the 1 million rubles of gear and you get hit and you're like, well, it was that other guy's gear and I shot him in the head, whatever. And it kind of helps you get over it a bit.
Yeah.
For sure.
You're also
playing with someone else's money, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh well, that's a scav run, but we can talk about that in a little bit. But the thing is like what's really cool about. Go ahead.
I want to know like what's the entry level like for someone who like me. Like, is it tough to get into, or is there a position for me? Like when I don't have much to compare it to, but like when I was playing PUBG, I found like I could fit a certain style of play, like a wait and like hide and like turtle up, bushwookie, whatever you want to call it. Is there like a style for me out there in Tarkov?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes. And in fact, what's really cool is there's a streamer we all know named Elohim, and he's been playing this game a lot lately. And he actually does like let me put it this way. When you zone into a round as a PMC, your character, generally if it's an open round, you have 55 minutes. So you start generally at 55 minutes. Like Sacral and his team, they will run across the map with high-end weapons. They're almost constantly on the move. Sacral has like these infrared scopes, so you'll see him just be like, target down. There's 2. There's 3. Right? He's just walking around, just killing everything mowing in their path. Then you watch Elohim. Elohim sneaks around. He goes from bush to bush. He's very cautious. He'll camp areas. His levels, last time I saw him play this map called Interchange, he was in there for 48 minutes in one round in one map. That exact map would have taken Sacro and Anthony like 15 to 20. Completely different styles of play, completely different ways to play the game, but it's all up to you. The big thing with this game is there's a lot of hearing. Like the soundscape is really well developed and good, not in the Z-axis, but it is in the X and Y. So a lot of folks can like just very slowly creep around. And if you hear footsteps or something coming, you get in a corner and hide and wait, and you try to ambush them, or you try to get the jump on them, which takes away a lot of that advantage you'd get in like FPSs of just dealing with somebody who's a lot better at aiming than you.
Better aiming, yeah.
So there's all sorts of little tricks and gotchas to the game that can make, as you learn the game, it's obviously not all just like, this is how you play at the beginning and it's easy for a lot of people. But as you learn how this stuff works, it becomes easier and easier to kind of find your own play style and excel at your own play style, which is really cool. But to go to the beginning of your question, Tarkov is one of the harder to learn games I've ever played because it is very immersive. You don't even have a HUD. You don't even have your ammo on the screen. Like you have to hold down Alt and hit T, and your character takes the mag out and estimates how many bullets are left, and then like puts it back in.
Literally
like, yeah. The gunplay is extremely advanced. There's almost nothing on the screen. When you're playing with other people, there's zero indicator that they're on your team.
Yeah.
Which makes it very difficult to play with other people. So there's all these little things about the game that make it very tough. Then you factor in the literally, like Sacco said, thousands of different items, thousands of different gun attachments. Every gun can be broken down to its individual components and then rebuilt into like machines. You can even convert guns to different types by individually replacing their components like down a line. You can turn like an ADAR into an M4 or whatever it is. Sacco can talk about it better. Yeah. But there's all sorts of things like that. So it's a very big, very hard to learn game. Like I've been playing it over 80 hours and I still kind of feel like a noob, kind of like you do in PoE, but it is so incredibly rewarding to do well in it.
So
you can also have, go ahead.
So Coh's been playing 80 hours. Kong Fan has been playing 3,000 hours. Coh killed Kong Fan. So that gives you an idea of even a newer player in the right position with the right gun can kill a very high level player.
And the only way I did that was because he was looking up in this bridge back and forth, and I snuck my ass just right against the wall up, and I came right below him, and I was like, that guy's got a nice backpack on. Brrr, just unloaded into his butt from the bottom. And then, of course, I'm running away, and I'm hiding in a bush because Sacro's firing at me, and I'm like, oh, cool, I'm safe. He'll never see me in this bush. Headshot. Because he had an infrared scope, and he could see my heat signature in the bush. So, it's very, oh, please, it was great. But it was the whole game just gets like more and more complex, gets more and more interesting. And as you play, you just learn it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Like I said, 80 hours in, and I'm still a complete noob at this game at the end of the day.
You mentioned
Sakura, what's the draw for you?
Yeah, go ahead. That's a great question. What's the draw?
What's the draw for you? Like the gameplay loop.
The DayZ feel is you start on the coast, you go up to the airfield, whatever. By the time you get to the airfield, you've got like a hunting rifle and a scope. You see a guy, and you're like, he's been playing for 30 hours on that character. Look at all his stuff. And you shoot him in the nose and you take all his stuff. And that exhilaration of like, oh, I'm taking all this guy's gear and time is just such a massive pull. And this game is that on steroids because In this, unlike in DayZ, where it's like, oh, there's 3 guns you can have, or 3 backpacks you can have, or whatever. In this game, you find like you get an M4, and you're like, I've never even seen this suppressor before. What's this? And it's like so exciting because you know he built this lovingly by hand, and you got to shoot him and take it. So that like I say this quite often. It ruins my day if I'm not ruining someone else's day, and this is the ultimate game for ruining someone else's day. But like it's easy come, easy go. Like sometimes I will spend half an hour, like I have a gun, I'm like clicking, like putting all the sweaty things on it, and I go into a round, and then boom, get shot in the eye, and I'm like, all right then. Like
and someone else just takes your gun.
Someone just takes it and wanders off.
I have built amazing weapons costing most of my fortune and been killed before I could fire them.
Yep. So that's very common.
Are you entering when you go into a map or whatever, load into the game for the first time? Are you entering a map that already has other people active in that map, or does everyone load in at the same time?
So there's two types of so there's 2 types of players. There's something called PMCs, which is private military contractors, and there are something called scavs. So the way it works, let's say I want to play and I choose the map Woods and I click next, it throws me into a queue, and a server will spool up the map, put in loads of loot, and then it will grab 12 players from the queue, and it will put 6 of them on one side of the map, 6 of them on the other. The 6 on the east have all their extracts on the west. The 6 on the west have all their extracts, as in the way out of the map, on the east. So they're opposite. So they have to kind of walk towards each other and fight and whatever.
That's the goal. The goal of Tarkov is you start at one point on the map, and you have to extract at a randomly chosen point on the other while getting as much loot and killing as many people as you can. That's the gameplay loop.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So that's the start. So all the PMCs start at the very first minute of the map, and most of the rounds are 50 minutes. And then throughout that 50 minutes, waves of AI and players called scavengers, which means low tier gear. So they don't have big armor and helmets and big guns and suppressors. They often have like a pistol or a shotgun or a very basic hunting rifle. But waves of players are re-injected into that round all the way through to the end. So PMCs all start at the start, and the AI and players that are scavs are thrown in periodically just to keep the action up. So you, as a PMC, you always start at the very start, and you know there's a guy 50 meters that way, there's a guy 50 meters that way, the loot's that way, let's go.
Do you choose?
Yeah, that's what I was about to ask. Like, how do you choose, and what are there requirements to choose that? Is there some sort of like money level that you have to hit before you can unlock that, or is it just whenever? Yeah,
you can always play your PMC because you decide what gear it has. So you can say, I want a sniper rifle, I want to put, it's like you've got your big stash, you put the gear you want to use onto your PMC, and then you can just play whatever you want. If you want to play as a scav, because what the thing with a scav is, you're given a free character. The server literally randomly generates you a character and goes, here you go, here's your scav. And you look at it and you can see what gun he's got. So if he's got a sniper rifle, you can go on Woods. If he's got a shotgun and body armor, you can go on something like Factory, where it's all close range. So you can kind of sculpt what experience you want. But your scav, importantly, has a cooldown. So if you go in as a scav and you die, when you come out, you've got a 20-minute cooldown you have to wait for before you can do another scav. So it forces you to play your PMC. But a new player, what tends to happen is you play as a scav, and you extract with loads of gear. When you go back to your stash, you've got 20 minutes of like gear management to do. And by the time you finish that, you click play, and your scav cooldown's gone, and you do another scav run.
Gotcha. So Zeke, for you, like scav runs are a great way to learn the game because you get a randomized starting weapon, so you get to try all sorts of different weapons. If you die, you don't lose anything because you were just given an NPC. Scavs are basically like free loot if you can get out. And what's also really cool about
you only keep what you loot, right?
You only keep what you escape with, not even just what you loot. Like the thing with scavs is, since they're NPCs, remember that little container Saka was talking about earlier? A lot of people call it the gamma, although there's different better ones, but you don't have that on a scavenger. So you have to actually get to an exfiltration point and get out to get any of the loot. Yeah.
My question is, they give you like a pre-generated character with loot on it. If you get out with that stuff that they pre-generate for you, do you get to keep that?
You do. Hand it into what's even cooler is the way that the scavenger, the AI scavengers, the scavengers are always present on the map. Like Sakro said earlier, they have randomized loot on them. Your character also has randomized loot on them. So what you can do is when you play your scav character, you may just load in and have a pistol and a Nushunka as a hat, and then you might have a lab card and a super rare key in your inventory. And at that point, if you just get out, you could make
half a
of money. Like just a week ago, I started a scav character, and he had this thing called a Kiba key on him. And this was before they were dropping in Twitch drops. So when I loaded it on my little character, my little scavenger character, I had a key worth 3 times the total amount of money I had on my account. So my job at that point was to just crouch down, find the closest bush, and then just as slow as molasses, work my way across the map until I got out. And I did, and I sold that key and instantly had 1.5 mil that I could then buy armor, guns. I bought stash cases for my stash.
But that's why it's so exciting, right? Yeah. We said it's like a horror game. When you spawn in as a cav and you're like, oh, pistol, really? And you check your pockets, it's like, this is worth $1 million. All of a sudden, like it's so high stakes. You're like, oh my God. And you're like sneaking around and you're trying to get out.
Your heart rate goes up.
So
stressful. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yep.
Like, I'm nothing to the fucking Maltese Falcon, son of a.
There are literally golden roosters. But anyway, like the thing is like it's funny because you can zone in, you can hit one key on your keyboard, and instantly your heart rate jumps by 10 BPM. Yeah. Where you're just like, oh God, that's that thing. I've never even seen this before. I've only heard of it. Like then you hit O twice, and you're like, how do I get out of this map? And then you go to the internet and Google the map, and you go, oh, because there's no maps in game. Keep that in mind. There's no maps in game. So so if you're a new player, you always have the map on your side screen. And then you're just sitting there like, okay, where am I? You know, okay, looking at landmarks. Okay, that's there. All right, that's okay. If I hug that wall, like you're planning your route and stuff, like it becomes this entire game in itself of like, I need to get off this map immediately. And that's
why
cool.
it's so exciting.
It's so interesting. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So if the high is having, 30 million or whatever Chris had earlier, what's the low? Like if you just suck shit, are you just waiting for the scav runs constantly to spawn? Or do you just like, how does that
Sacro can't answer this because he doesn't suck, but hold on. I got this. Never been okay. So hold on, let me tell you this. Let me tell you this.
I want to hear his answer.
Of course you will. Of course you will. But real quick. 2 days ago, I had 8 straight hours of bad runs. I didn't have a single one of my scavengers make it out. I kept putting really good gear on my PMC, and he kept getting one shot tapped, or I didn't check to see if a guy was dead, and he popped up and killed me 8 hours straight. In fact, even on stream, I was just like, dude, maybe this game isn't for me. Like I was questioning, like maybe I'm done. Maybe I'm too old for Tarkov. That night, I'm playing offline. I have 2 scav runs and a PMC run, and made almost all the money back that I did from that 8 hours in 3 runs. So it's the kind of thing where, you can have bad times and you can get yourself down to where you're almost completely out of money and you have nothing to sell, but then maybe you'll get that good scav run. Or maybe you'll start up as a pistol and a PMC and you'll get that lucky kill Sacker was talking about at the beginning. So it's the kind of thing where no matter how low you get, there's always a little bit of hope. And because you have that scav timer constantly coming up, which you can also work down via a base building mechanic. So you can actually get it down to like 16 minutes. Every 16 minutes, you can play one of these scav runs. It becomes a lot more tenable. They also have a care package. I've never seen it, but apparently if you get 2 out of money, then the devs like send you a little bundle of items. And they're like, hey, we see you're really down and out. So here's a little thing to kind of get you started and hopefully get you back on track. But yeah.
Here's another cool thing. You can periodically reset your own account. So let's say you're playing it for the first time and you just blow all your money, you lose everything, and you're like, oh, God damn it, I learned a lot, but I lost my gear. You can go on their website and you can say, reset my account, and it will reset you back to level 0. It will give you all the starter gear again. So you can be like, right, I'm just going to have a second go at it. You can only do that a certain amount of times. Is that not worth
money? Oh, okay. I was going to say, like, couldn't people just do that constantly and build up a shit ton of cash if they're like transferring it?
Yeah, no.
Is there ways to like trade between players?
Yes.
No, kind of. So you can hand an item to your friend. So if Cohh said, I need an item for a quest and I've got one, I can drop it for him.
Yeah.
There's if you look on the screen here, this is the actual auction house where you can buy every item in the game. But the devs specifically made it so that you can't use, let's say if I said to my viewers, hey, I want you to buy this bandage, which is worth 1 ruble for 10 million, just to give me some money so I can play. If I put a bandage on the auction house and requested 10 million for it, there's an algorithm that compares the value of the item to the amount you're asking for. And if it's an insane difference, then the market fee will be more than the money I'd make from selling it. So I'm selling this bandage and the market fee will be like 100 million rubles because I'm trying to sell it for 10. So you can only kind of sell things for what they're worth. So you can't really trade money. So they did that to stop people trading real money for like in-game money.
Yeah.
But you can trade items, like you can queue up with your friend and just drop them an expensive item on the floor and they can put it in their little secure container and they've got it.
Is there any way to buy money with real money?
No.
There's no pay to win aspect at all?
The only gotcha is the initial purchase. You can get a certain edition that gives you like a larger gamma case and a few more starting items. But after you've started the game, there is no way in the game to then buy more money or buy weapons or anything like that.
Gotcha. Okay.
So it's kind of pay for convenience, like Path of Exile, right? You can pay for extra tabs and stuff.
Yeah.
That doesn't make you able to beat someone in a fight or be better than someone. It just means you have more convenience on like storing stuff and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
The only small thing that some people will ping is the higher edition of the game, which is called the Edge of Darkness, Sacral. The Edge of Darkness edition gives you what's called a larger gamma case, which is the case that even if you die, you can pull items out of the raid with. So there's a few that have had a little bit of a
screen here in the middle.
Yeah, right. It's right there at the bottom.
There's gamma
that you get a larger case with the higher edition, which means theoretically you can pull out more items even if you die. That's the only thing that's a little bit. But even then, like it doesn't make you stronger. There's no winning.
You can earn a case. You can earn a case bigger than the one you get for the big version of the game by doing quests. So it's not like you're pay locked away from it. You just need to put in more effort to get to, oh, I unlocked the one with the quest.
Gotcha.
And you cannot buy the biggest version either.
Okay. How much is, if you have the best gun in the game, what are we talking? Like, what does that look? What's the best gun in the game? Is it personal choice or is it like a gun with a shit ton of attachments?
Yeah. So the best guns in the game are things like what's called an M1 RSAS, which is like this big, chunky, semi-automatic sniper rifle, but it fires a very big round and it has very low recoil, and you can put a thermal scope on it. So if someone's hiding in a bush, instead of you zooming in with a normal lens and like, is that a guy's face in the bush? Literally, you just look through and go, oh, he's there. So the highest end gear is these thermal scope, like sniper rifles that can just one-shot someone across the map. But to give you some perspective, everyone says, well, that's insanely OP. I lost 4 of them today. So it's not like me having them means, oh, I'm invulnerable.
Right.
Like I still get ambushed, I get grenaded, I get pushed up close from someone I didn't hear. I get counter sniped by another guy with a thermal or just a guy in a better position. You still lose them.
Is for both of you, interest in both answers. Is it more position than aiming, or is it a mix of all FPS, like quote tactics? Like what is king? Position or aiming or listening or just a mix of all of those?
It's a very complex answer. So it's positioning is definitely incredibly important. If you ambush someone and they're sprinting in the open and you're crouched and aimed and pre-ready to fire, you have a significant advantage over them. But if you have a bad gun or bad ammo and they have a good gun and good armor, they can just tank whatever you hit. Like there is a helmet in the game that is a bulletproof glass plate on your face and a bulletproof dome on your head. And then you have a bulletproof vest that covers your arms. So literally, if I was AFK and you had a pistol and you could own, let's say I was stood behind cover, what you'd actually do is shoot me in the legs and it'll kill me because legs are never armored. But let's say I was stood waist high behind cover and I went AFK and you had 5 magazines of pistol, you couldn't kill me. You'd be, it can get to that point. But if you had a rifle with the right rifle caliber, you could still kill me and take that gear. So it's such a nuanced thing. Like you need to know recoil control, you need to know the ballistics of your gun, you need to know what ammo you're firing, so that at a glance, when you see someone, you can go, oh, I know what armor he's wearing. Can my gun penetrate him at this range? Or should I wait for a cleaner shot? There's so much that goes on in a fight. But if you have a big enough gun, it's whoever's in the best position.
Gotcha.
And real quick, Sacral, since you're a little bit better at this,
yeah.
Can you explain a little bit about armor types and then more importantly, ammo types?
So the game has a very complex simulation of ammo and armor. Cool. So unlike most games where you just have armor and like as shots come in, it just reduces the damage by 30% or whatever until the armor's gone, and then it's got you're dealing normal damage. This game actually compares the weight of the bullet, the penetration value, the class of your armor. There are 6 classes of armor: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. When a bullet hits the armor, if it doesn't penetrate, each bullet has its own stat for how much damage it causes to the armor. So when a bullet hits and it doesn't pen, it will weaken the armor. So the next one has a higher statistical chance of penning, so that it might get through and hit you in the limb and kill you. And there's literally like hundreds of rounds of ammo in the game. Some are subsonic. So if you shoot at someone and it goes over the head and misses, you don't hear like a whoosh. So if you miss entirely and the bullet goes over the head and lands 20 feet behind him, they're absolutely none the wiser, just running along. Whereas if you're firing like a big sniper round, they hear like a whoosh, and it's like, Jesus Christ. So you have to know all. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I bet.
And what's cool is you can go into the game as a scav and you go, right, got an AK, you take the mag out. There's like a button you press where your guy takes the mag out and looks at the bullet, and it tells you in text like, this is a so-and-so bullet. So you go, oh god, it's the crap ammo. You might just walk along and just go, oh, a box of ammo on the floor, and you unpack it, and it's the best ammo in the game. And you literally like empty your mag out, put this new ammo in, and then you've gone from being like the weakest dude around to like, if I catch someone out with this gun, they're dead. And then you see like a PMC, it's got the best helmet, the best armor, big gun, sniper rifle on his back, and you're like, oh, glad I found that ammo. And you kill him, and you just take all his stuff. So there's loads of in-game knowledge where you kind of upgrade your gun inside a raid, because you're like, oh, I found a foregrip for it, and I found a scope, and I found a suppressor, and it's really cool.
Yeah.
And for the record, like, when he says that, he made it sound quick, but this is a very realistic game. So when you unload a mag, it's like, then you got to put the ammo back in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So are you saying like, because rifles and stuff can only take a certain caliber of ammunition, yeah. But are you saying like the grain counts and like the bullet like style or whatever are different? Like there's a 7.62 with this many grain count of black powder.
It's more like hollow point and armor piercing.
Yeah, so a 7.62 caliber bullet will only go in a gun that would realistically fire that round. Right. And there are subsonic versions and non-subsonic versions, supersonic versions. In reality, people would do a suppressor would tend to use subsonic ammo, but in the game, it's not that insane. So you can, as long as if you have a 7.62 gun, you find a 7.62 bullet, you can fire it. You don't have to worry about it's the wrong grain or anything. There is no grain stuff in the game.
No, I'm just saying like
the right gun.
Gotcha.
It's still a 7.62, but it has different like aspects to it.
Characteristics, absolutely. There'll be like 10 different types of 7.62.
Okay, that's what I meant.
One that's hollow point, and it does loads of flesh damage. One that's armor pen, goes through any armor, but doesn't do as much damage. They have different fragmentation chances. So when a bullet hits, it rolls a statistical chance to see if it rolls and tumbles inside your body to deal additional damage. So all the different bullets have different characteristics that you need to understand.
So with all those,
JP, I just linked you an image in the Slack. If you want to pop that on the screen,
this
is for the record. That's not even all of them, but this is just a basic little image of some of the different ammo types in the game.
So this is good because it kind of leads into my next question. With all of this with this many variables in the game, when you die, do you have any sense of what happened besides what happened on your screen?
It tells you who killed you and where they hit you.
Man,
if I shot you from
that sounds shit. That sounds real fucking shit.
Yeah.
I'd rather have like detailed reports of like, you died because this guy had this bullet with that. Yeah.
No, I want that too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So sometimes you'll be running along. If you get hit with a subsonic bullet, you're running along, and then your character literally, it's like you've just turned into a ragdoll, just face plants into the floor, and the screen goes black, and then it just says Sacriel killed you, and that's it. And you're just like, okay.
And that's anywhere between 5 and 15 people around.
Yeah.
Do you carry like magazines with those different ammos, and you like switch them out? You're like, oh, he's wearing armor, put it in there. Do that shit.
Exactly.
Now, go ahead.
You can do that. No, yeah, you can do that. You can have one mag. Here's the cool thing: you can have one mag of armor pen and one mag of hollow point. And if you see a guy come in and you're like, "Oh, I need my armor," you can actually reload the different mag. But also, if you have a mag, you can go one armor pen, one hollow point, one armor pen, one hollow point, and you can literally like hand load a 60-round mag with alternating bullets. You can even do the bottom 10 rounds as tracer. So when you get to the bottom of your mag, you start to see tracers, and you're like, "Oh, I'm at the end of my mag." You can do all this stuff that you do in real life.
Can I just say how awesome it is to see like someone like you that's usually cool, calm, and collected. Like when you talk about stuff you're excited about, you nerd out like just like everybody. It's fucking beautiful. And you can do this, and then He-Man comes in, and the Ninja Turtles they come over and smash him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No. By all means.
I lost my train of thought.
What are we watching?
An ammo question.
Well, yeah. Do you have an ammo question?
The guy in the back. This is me in one of the most important rooms in the game. Oh, this is insane. So I just killed a guy, and a raider, which is an elite AI, heard my shots and runs in the room, and I spray half a mag of this Glock into his head, and he shoots me down to like 10 HP, and I literally like stumble my ass into a bathroom and close the door, and I'm like medding myself with morphine and stuff to try to survive. So if you watch now, I'll throw a flash around this corner, and it disorientates the AI long enough for me to shoot him a bunch. I don't kill him because I hit him in the vest a lot when I've only got a 9 more Glock. So you see here, I'm getting my flashbangs ready, and I flash this corner, and as I'm fighting him, another human player outside the window shoots at me. So I shoot this guy, that person out the window shooting me out that window. See, I cover the window. If you look in the top left, you can see my body parts are all like black and red. So now I'm like getting morphine out and I'm injecting myself. There's a heavy medical system in the game. You can get fractures and wounds, and you have to use painkillers and morphine and combat stims.
Even
and
your hands can get tremors. It affects like when you're aiming.
Huh.
Yeah, if your legs are broke, like you can't run. But if you take morphine, you can run, but it costs you health to run. So they're still balanced. They do a really clever thing that I've never seen in another game. It's brilliant. If you shoot someone, in normal games, you have let's say you have 100 HP and a bullet does 50 damage. But if you get shot in the head, normally the game says if you hit the head, it's a double damage modifier. So that 50 damage would become 100. You had 100 HP, therefore you're dead. This game doesn't do any of that. You have a chest with 80 HP. You have a head with 30. You have a stomach, you have arms and legs. So if you shoot someone in the head with a pistol round that only does 30 damage, because their head only has 30 HP, it's always a kill. But what's cool is if you shoot someone in the leg and it blacks out the leg, as in you kill it, it causes them the inability to sprint. But also, if you shoot that same leg again, because it's already dead, the damage is modified. It's usually doubled or increased by 50% or something, and then it's shared across all the other body parts. So if you can only see someone's arm, you can shoot that same arm over and over and over, and the damage spreads to the head and the chest and the stomach because it's like it's been blown apart. So it's a very, very nuanced damage system. Whereas in PUBG, those back when I only last played it, if you shot someone in the arm with a Glock, you could shoot them 27 times in the arm because it takes 30% less damage, and the damage is stupid, right?
Yeah.
Whereas in Tarkov, once the arm's dead, it spreads out the damage and kills you. It's really, really clever.
It makes total sense because have you ever bit your lip and then bit the same spot throughout the day?
I can't say that I have.
Shit gets more and more painful throughout your entire body.
I think that's the angle they were going for.
Yeah, might be right.
The lip biting angle. But it's interesting because that actually ties into the leg meta, which is one of the big parts of the game right now. If you see somebody fully decked out in armor, they've got, an AC6 chest, they're wearing a Killa helmet, which is one of the hardest to penetrate helmets. If you start blasting their legs, it doesn't matter how good that armor is. Because if you can black out that leg and keep doing damage, that'll spread right under the armor into the rest of their body and kill them. So it makes it feel there's a chance that, like Sacco said, you could be a brand new scav, with not so great ammo, but if you get the drop on somebody and you're right behind their knee and you just unload into the back of their knee, you will kill a fully armored person.
If you watch the screen here, this is really cool. I'm actually performing field surgery on my own leg. And it's you get a little kit out, and this has got the best animations I've ever seen in an FPS game. So I'm about to do it again on my other leg now, I think. Yeah, see that? Drag that to the leg, and then when I close the screen, you see in the background, he actually opens the kit, and he gets stitches out, and he stitches, and he's got a stapling gun, and he staples the wound closed, and all sorts of stuff. You can see it in the background behind the screen. I've got the window up at the moment. If JP skips back 30 seconds, you see it. Oh, there it is. See, I've got the little kit at the bottom, and you actually pull the bullet out with these tweezer things and drop the bullet and stuff. So you can actually perform surgery on yourself mid-game and heal up. It's really cool.
Do other players see that? If you're,
they can hear it, they can see it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
They can hear it is the big thing. So if you're in a firefight and all of a sudden you hear this dude clicking and stapling and stuff around the corner, you're oh shit, come here, running out.
Now, but you can cancel it, so you can bait them out. So the survival kit has 2 clicks at the start. It goes click, click, open. So what you do is you start the animation and he goes click, and before the second click happens, you cancel it. So he re-clicks the first one. So they hear click, click and go, I'm in. And they run in and you're are you there? Yeah.
What kind of energy drink sponsorship does this game have?
Hot Rod.
No joke, I have a box of tea in the game.
Oh, so are you the sponsor?
Nice.
There's a box of 40-second signature blended London tea. But no, there are energy drinks in there, and these guys are really cheeky with their kind of copyright infringement. So there's Red Bulls and stuff in the game, and there's lots of very close.
Red Bull is Hot Rod. Adidas is Addict. There's all sorts of. There's an IKEA that's Idea. I think So they have all sorts of little nods and. Yeah, Slickers instead of
stuff is licensed.
Yeah. So what? Yeah, as we've been, I guess as we've been listening to the two of you rant and rave about it, what are the struggles with the game? What are the things that the best of the best are constantly complaining about every day?
Server performance. So the desync is not so good. A year ago, a guy called Battle Nonsense, who does analysis of network stuff, did a bunch of testing on the game. So basically, he'd have two clients in the same map, and he'd open the door, and he'd be like, on my screen it's this, and on their screen it's this. So it's like, 300 millisecond delay. On one of his tests, which is on video, he opens the door, and it doesn't open on the other screen for 5 seconds. So on his screen, he opens the door, and he's like, I could shoot you in the head right now. And the other guy's just looking at a closed door going, what? So they fixed it a lot now, but it's still a bit tweaky. Like when you're running in the field with your friends will run on the spot for a few seconds and then teleport. And it has quite strong peekers advantage. So what I find personally very hard to play in this game is being aggressive is the best way to play. You hear footsteps coming around a corner. In DayZ, you'd sit and aim at the corner and kill them when they come round. In this, you wait till they're too close to not be there, and you sprint out and shoot them, because on your screen, you're here, bang, 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 you're shooting, and on their screen, you're just starting to step out. So by the time you've started to step out, on your screen, you've already killed them. So on the server, you've killed them. So on their screen, they die just as you're running out, and it's kind of like, what? So the two performance issues that are issues with the game is netcode, desync, and FPS. So the game is glorious looking, amazing looking, and the FPS itself.
What engine is it?
It's Unity engine.
Oh, it's Unity. Okay.
It's like the only insanely good looking Unity game I've really encountered. But you have Unity has this thing called garbage collection, where every time you shoot and the sparks, and every time you shoot and throw a grenade and the sparks and sounds, the engine is building up all these assets that it no longer needs, and it has to dump them from your cache or whatever. So every now and then you'll be running along and your game just freezes for a good 2 seconds. And then you stutter back into control and you're like, Jesus Christ. But sometimes you're like, here's the guy, and you push and you're like, and you're just stuck like this for 2 full seconds. And you just come back. Yeah, you come back to a black screen and you're like, okay.
What's the frequency of that occurring? Like rare or happens?
Relatively rare. It's like, it's like once every 10 minutes or so.
Okay.
But when it happened, I actually recommended something to them and they did it, and it's awesome. And this actually comes from Dean Hall, actually, because I told Dean about this issue. And Dean said, the way we fix that, because we do games in Unity, is when the player does something uninteresting, we do the garbage collection then. So, for example, when you press escape to load the menu, why not do a garbage collection then? Because clearly the gamer doesn't care.
Yeah.
So what happens in the game now, if you load your inventory, it does it then. Because often when you're just looking at your invent, you don't care if the screen freezes for half a second. So it tries to get the freezes out the way in a less annoying time, but it still catches you every now and then. And when you've got like 1 million rubles of gear and you see a guy with like a little pistol and you're like, look at that script. And then you come back to a dead screen, you're like, oh.
Yeah. That sucks. That could definitely suck.
Also, another kind of frustrating thing that the game does is they haven't quite yet figured out how to properly do a lot of the different types of scopes, because they do this kind of double rendering thing where every so often you'll have like really good performance, but the second you go down into a scope, all of a sudden you're at noticeable frames. Like moving around in the scope is kind of like jaggedy, and then right when you go out, it's back to butter smooth. And some scopes are like that, some scopes aren't. It has something to do with the way that they render. They like have to do a double render to get the zoomed in image or something. So it's gotten a lot better, from what I understand. Like even there's been one patch that addresses it since I've been playing in the last month, and even that made it better. But it definitely is still an issue for some of the scopes.
That being said, one of the coolest effects in the game, ironically, is a low FPS scope. So the thermal scope you get. A thermal scope isn't a glass lens you look through that changes the light. It's literally an LCD display that's telling you what a camera sees. And to balance it from being too overpowered, it's like 30 hertz. So when you're looking through the scope, you can see screen tears. And if someone's running like that and you're tracking them with this 30 hertz scope, you see screen tears where the top half of the body's here and the bottom half is split, the same way you would in a game. And you get you can see scan lines coming down, and you can see the resolution of the pixels inside the lens. So actually, when you're using a thermal scope, it's not like you're a predator and you just see everything in like red and blue.
Perfect,
and, that kind of thing. It's like really gritty and awkward to use. So it's actually quite balanced in that regard, at least. It's really cool the way they've done it.
Cool. Let's talk about the drop stuff that kind of made it explode on Twitch, that I think maybe sparked the most of the interest in it this past 2 or 3 weeks. First off, someone explained what the drops were, because I think maybe that's where a good thing, because it's not like normal games that have Twitch integration where it's like you can get a purple hat. It was more like you can get in-game currency, right?
Kind of. It's not currency per se. So they basically had a list of 50 items, and every person watching a Twitch stream that also owned the game every 5 minutes they had a 1.5% chance of winning something from the list. So some people literally it'll pop up, you've won, and they go in game and look, and it's like, here's a bar of soap. And it's like, oh, it's worth. It's worth like
you have to
rubles.
log in to see it,
or a pack of matches.
It popped up on your twitch.tv/inventory as well, so you could see it there.
Okay.
And then someone else would be like, here's 10 bitcoins in the game. Bitcoins are physical in this, like a gold currency, and that's worth a million rubles. It's a joke. Yeah, it's literally called physical Bitcoin. It's like 0.268 of a Bitcoin. Let me just pop that guy, get wrecked.
Yeah.
But yeah, so basically people just sit there and watch, and they got all sorts of gear. Some of the gear was the best gear in the game, like the best thermal lenses in the game, the most expensive currency, the biggest containers in the game. But some people got a bar of soap or like a hat. Yeah.
So what? Obviously for streamers,
but like for the record, by the time of the drops ended, I had 40 drops. So there was lots and lots, and the amount of the variance of items was huge. So anywhere from like a pack of matches, like a set of 3 graphic cards, a thermal scope, a really expensive key, like almost all the items at some point or another seem to have made their way. Like a huge list of them made their way through the drops. Gotcha. The frequency was pretty good, and so yeah, and there was no limit. So that was one of the reasons we saw these numbers persist the entire drop thing. There was no limit, so you could just keep getting these drops.
Yeah, if it was just like get your one item, everyone would get their item and be like, eh. But because people were kind of forced almost to watch, because they're like, I want to get all this cool stuff, they kind of watched the streams and went, actually, this looks awesome. And then when they see you've got a thermal scope and I'm sniping with a thermal scope, they're like, what? And they're so excited.
That's kind of my next question.
You have to be...
Well, my next question is like, obviously for streamers, like they were fucking X-rated stuff off stream to these devs for the viewership that you were getting. But for the people that play the game and don't stream, was it like, fuck, like I guess I have to go watch these streams to be on the same level as everyone else? Or did the community not really care that much? Like, what was the general community thought of it?
I didn't see too many bitching about it. It's free, really. Like, you just load a stream and minimize it and just go, well, I'm getting free stuff. Like, I didn't really see anyone moaning, to be honest.
Yeah.
There were also passive effects. So, for instance, a lot of times these items would drop in groups. So you'd see like hundreds of people report that they got the same item or same set of items. So what that would do is that would then tank the market. So, there's a lot of established players that could then buy it a lot cheaper, or they would then sell them when they went back up or things like that. Another big important thing to mention about this game is twofold. One, this is a beta game. This game is not out. And two, very similar to PoE, pretty much every 3 to 6 months, there's a big wipe and everyone kind of starts over. In fact, in the streaming community, it's pretty common to erase your account and start over from scratch. So I think folks couldn't really get too seriously angry about it, because everyone knows that they're estimating around now, like between February and April, probably around March, they're going to do a wipe anyway. So it's like, cool, like whatever. It's like, cool. A lot. And it's also important to mention that most of the people that are getting these items were new players, and you don't even get the ability to sell these items on the flea market until you're level 5 in game. So a lot of these players were like putting on this really advanced, really good stuff and zoning into my first Tarkov round and like dropping this loot to like very experienced players. And I definitely got a few of those. Like one guy I felt terrible about because he had put like a Reap IR scope on like just some oboe gun, and he probably had no idea what he was doing. And this is a scope like in the hands of Sacriel. It's like, giving an angel a golden sword with lightning on it. But like for these little guys, they had like, there was nothing they could do with them. In fact, in the wrong hands, an IR scope is a negative. It doesn't function as well as a normal scope. So, I mean, and that was happening like over and over and over. On the Reddit, one guy like zoned in. He felt so bad that he killed this guy in this round called Factory. When he killed this guy, he had brought in the cases that he got from the Twitch drops, which are never supposed to go on your character. They're supposed to go in your inventory to increase the size of your inventory. And this guy kills this dude, and he has like 2 eye cases on him. And he like goes on Reddit, and he's like, I'm trying to find you. I want to give these back, man. You shouldn't have done this. Don't do this, man. So it's like...
When you kill someone, you can get their dog tags, and then you can message them in game and be like, hey, was that you? And you can actually talk to people. And a lot of people are pretty cool about it. They're just like, hey, where were you? I don't get where I died from. And you're like, oh, I was in the tower. And they're like, oh, God damn it. GG's or whatever. So you can actually message people. Today, I killed a bunch of people that had... when you kill them on the dog tag, you can see their level. So you get the dog tag and it says like, Jeff or whatever. And it says like level 3. Everyone that I killed that was less than level 10, I picked up the gear and I ran over and I threw it in a bush and hid it. Because the game has a concept called insurance, where let's say a gun costs 100,000 rubles. For 5,000 rubles, you can insure it. If you die, but no one else steals the gun, i.e. picks it up and they successfully leave the map, you will get it back 24 hours later. So all the people I killed I would pick up all their stuff and put it in my bag, and I'd go and hide it in a bush, just knowing that when they log in tomorrow, it'll be like, hey, you got your gear back. Hey, you got your gear back. And it's like, spurs them on.
Yeah.
Does everybody insure their stuff?
And I was about to say, the meta is everyone insures everything. And what's super cool about that is if you remember that time I was telling you where I had like 8 hours, an entire day of just shit tier runs, losing expensive gear all over the place. It was terrible. A day later, I start getting email after email from the insurance guy. Oh, here's that really good helmet and breastplate you lost. Oh, here's that gun you spec'd out that nobody took. Oh, here's more armor. Oh, here's more helmets. And all of a sudden, like I was getting like most of my inventory back. Granted, of course, it was, out of disrepair and stuff because I had been killed in it. But it's really nice to be able to, get a leg back up so you can kind of just jump back in and go for it.
So what's good is often
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
I have a question about the dog tag system. Like, that's not just for shit talking. Like, it seems no. That's what it's like. That's what it would be for. I would see that and go like, I know who I just killed, so I'm gonna tell him who it was. Like,
Some people, because it's such a high stress game, some people will message you and just like a torrent of abuse. They have to send you a friend request first. So if you killed a guy with 1 million rubles worth of gear with a pistol round, and you're just like, he's gonna be so mad, you can just decline their friend request.
They can't just message you right away. You have to actually accept.
It pops up saying like, Sakura would like to add you as a friend, and you click yes, and then it says start chat.
Okay.
I've had cases where I killed someone and I felt so bad that I messaged them and say like, hey, do you want your gear back? And then we queue up together, and I go in with their gear and I just throw it all on the floor for them, and they pick it up, and then I just kill my character, and they just take it off, and they're like, oh, cheers.
Sorry, I got on a tangent.
Is there any penalty for just killing your character? Like just going in and dying? If you don't have
you
any
lose
gear,
everything.
Well, yeah, but if you don't have any gear, it's just you spawn in with gear next turn.
Just your EP, because your rate goes down.
Your what goes down? Oh, your rank. Oh, okay.
No. He said EP.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
You have an extract percentage that a lot of people really care about. So how many like extractions you've actually made it out as opposed to how many you've died on. So obviously your stats go down if you just kind of throw yourself in with low gear or stuff like that. Most people like me, like we don't care about that at all. But there's some people that really care about that. So of course they'd never do that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But also, they recently changed it. So a problem in some people's eyes in this game is what's called a hatchling. So the default weapon in the game is a hatchet. It's just like a little axe thing. And what a lot of people do is they go in the game with no body armor, no helmet, no bag, no meds, no gun, just a hatchet. So they go in with nothing. They've committed nothing to the round. But because they have a hatchet, they can run really quick because they're not weighed down by armor. So they run to the most expensive room in the game, and they grab the expensive thing and they put it in their secure container, and they just stand there and go, kill me now. And then someone that's got all the gear on runs in, kills them, loots them, nothing. And it's like, oh, so I put all my gear on the line and you get to take the item for free. So the devs, to combat that, now what happens is when you're out of the raid, so when you're outside a round, your character still persists. And if you died in the round, you're half dead. So you have to sit there and med up outside the round. So you consumes your medical supplies. So if you do a hatchling run and die, hatchling run, die, hatchling run, die, you are just wasting med after med after med to get your guy back into fighting shape to go into the next round. So that's the way of penalizing them. Gotcha. And they've made it now where if you die with no gun in your hand, you lose more health than if you on the next screen than if you died as a hatchling, to punish you even more. So it's trying to encourage people at least take a gun in.
Yeah,
so,
a pistol or then something, when you die, like have some sort of loss. Yeah, that makes
exactly sense.
Circling back to the drop event, do you guys, and maybe speaking outside of the game and more of Twitch in a whole, do you think every game company should start doing this or will start doing this? Because it's effectively view botting your game in a non-morally or
ambiguous way.
Yeah, ambiguous way, where most people are like, cool, this game has 1 million viewers, let's go check it out. Oh, half these people are just idling in this channel and not actively contributing to the stream except for that number rising.
Kind of. So I would say for my stats, I went from streaming Tarkov to 3K people-ish, 3 to 4K on a good day, to streaming to 10K through the drops. And now, for my last 3 streams without drops, I've been at 7 to 8.
Yeah.
So I've almost arguably doubled my viewership of actual active people that aren't there for the drops. So I would say the percentage of people that are there kind of just chilling for drops is, apart from on the inflated channels where it's like the biggest channel and they get like 100,000 ninja style, 2018 ninja style.
Yeah.
I would say is relatively organic growth, but I can't think of a reason a game wouldn't do this. If Call of Duty said, "Hey, watch streamers and you can unlock platinum skins for all your guns,"
it'd be massive.
People would be like, "Okay,
yeah,
why not?"
Yeah, I mean, you can put any game into that, and
Path of Exile, watch streamers and you can earn extra tabs in your inventory or chaos orbs or whatever. Well, like every game. Not to do it.
It gets a little bit weird because, like, I think Tarkov is in the unique situation where, like I was saying, or like you both were saying, where they reset and like the stuff they were giving away, like it matters, but it doesn't really affect the game that much. In a place like PoE, I think that gets a little bit weird, and I think there's a billion other games where it would get a little bit weird. Like if you're playing, I don't know. I think if you look at like something like FIFA, and maybe if you watch a stream for X amount of minutes, you get a pack, you get the fucking cards like that.
Yeah,
that's a gold. Like, why are they not doing that? If you want Mixer to hit 1 million viewers, put that on fucking Mixer, and there you go. Like it's a no. Like, why are they not doing that?
Yeah, maybe to answer your maybe I'm confused, but did you say you can't buy in-game stuff with money?
Yeah, you cannot buy in-game stuff with money.
How does Tarkov make money?
You buy
because you have to buy the game.
Yeah, you buy the
game. You have to buy to play. Yes,
the purchase of the game.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. No subscription though.
No sub.
Okay.
You either buy like the basic game or the advanced game. That's about it. Or you can gift it to friends. But there's no like subscriptions, or there's not like it's not like Warframe where you can pay to have like different looking stuff or whatever. It's just you buy the game, you get the game.
Yeah,
that's about it.
That's it. That's the only transaction.
Listen. For those of you guys saying like, "Oh, buy the game," I mean, it's novel concept. Like
that's quite antiquated.
Not the fucking model anymore.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I mean, I don't. Doesn't whatever. Fuck
Mike, the number one question I get in Twitch chat, no matter what I play it, I can play the most AAA game you've ever heard in your life. The first question is this game free? Like people are just so used to like high tier quality games for free that I could play anything, and people are like, is it free?
Well, that's a Fortnite effect right there. I mean, that if they any game in like the top 2 or 3 games on Twitch, if it's not Fortnite, people say, hey, is this game free? Because that's just how it is. Ko, you were going to say something? You remember?
Yeah, I was going back to your original question. Every single game should be utilizing Twitch drops. And if they're not, all they're doing is losing out. Twitch drops are beneficial for streamers. They're beneficial for the people playing the game. And they're beneficial for Twitch as a whole. I mean, just like Sakro said, the channel, Twitch got washed over with hundreds of thousands of people for this drop event. Hundreds of thousands every day. Pestily, one of the biggest streamers, at 100,000 plus viewers daily. And this is a guy that averaged 3K before. So if you think about that inflation rate, it's astronomical.
Yeah.
A huge amount of people stayed over afterwards as well. And those are new people that are going to not only Tarkov streamers, but a lot of them have now found Twitch for the first time. And they're going to go out and meet other streamers and become part of other communities. So really at the end of the day, like any company that's not utilizing Twitch or Twitch drop-like programs, the only thing they're doing is losing potential. That's it. Every single company should be looking into this stuff. Just how it is.
This is maybe putting too much tinfoil on my head, but is there a sense where if a game like this blows up that a developer or anyone, not necessarily a developer, a fan of the game can push viewbots to a channel and people just think, oh, that's just more drops. That's just more people wanting drops. And it can push that number even higher. Like, is that something is that just on Twitch and not necessarily something that we should worry about as viewers and streamers?
I think that would happen with any event that brings a large amount of viewers to Twitch.
Right.
I think that's more an argument about view botting in general than Twitch drops. But yeah, anywhere there is an opportunity for corruption, there is probably going to be corruption. And I think that's kind of the same way with this stuff as well.
Yeah.
I will say, like, there was some very strange movements inside of Tarkov streamers during the streaming event. But also, Tarkov bought like front page time for almost the duration of the whole event, and they were putting different streamers on the front page. And you combine that with drops, like that caused all sorts of weirdness to happen. So there's been a lot of like speculation on the numbers with the Tarkov drop event and like how it was changed and how it was weird. But there were so many unknown variables in it that it's really hard to tell like what actually was going on.
Well, it's a amazing case study for the Twitch drop and kind of the culture of Twitch and all that, because we've seen other games do it, but not to that size, really, at least not that successful, to use another word for it. So I think with a lot of games, though, if it was just a game that everyone already knows, like loads of people have watched hundreds of thousands of hours of Hearthstone streams, and if Hearthstone went, wow, win packs by Twitch drops, it's kind of like, okay, whatever.
I mean, people. I think it would help, but Tarkov just had the best patch of its life. Massive new content, new maps, new guns, loads of new stuff
for sure. Yeah,
it was a perfect storm of like, whoa, loads of new content, whoa, loads of streamers actually genuinely excited and enjoying the game, and then Twitch drops on top, and then they paid for Twitch front page. It was like the perfect storm that, you know, I don't think another game could just say, oh, like I don't think DayZ could be like, hey, watch Twitch DayZ streamers and you can earn cans of beans. I don't think it would make a slight bit of difference to the game, because the game isn't in a state where people are like, you know, really going for it.
Yeah,
it was like what Warframe did 7-8 months ago when they did their first big drops program, and all of a sudden we saw people that averaged anywhere between 200 and 500 people were averaging 56 to 70,000 people, and they didn't even have a front page at that time. Like they didn't have a huge patch either at the time. That was just them like demoing the drop system. So when you combine all that with what's currently here, like it's an echo chamber of effect. Also, quick note: the overall views for Tarkov have skyrocketed since this. So it's the kind of thing where like their drop system, their drop thing was not only good since this happened. Yeah. So not only was Tarkov's drop stuff good for the time they did it, but they have literally quadrupled their average viewer base for the game as a whole now. So
is a question coming from ignorance. Is that not because like the Fortnite streamers are just chasing the next game, or
a lot of the streamers left? Like,
really?
There were a few bigger streamers that came in for the drop. Well, I mean, it's kind of telling.
I mean, that's the business, but yeah.
But I mean, some have stuck around. Some are kind of like dabbling, like, you know, like Dr. Disrespect did multiple all-day streams when it was here, and then he didn't play it for like a day or two, and then he started playing it, you know, for a session or two. Same thing with like some of the other larger streamers, and some streamers have stuck around. But at the same time, like it was clearly, if that drop event was not there, like it's very questionable to wonder like how these people, if they even would have tried it. Like it was a great reason, if nothing else, just to try it.
A great
and then people were kind of surprised how good it was. Yeah.
There's no denying that. There's nothing wrong with that at all. Is that being the
Doc is still playing, Tim is still playing, XQC was playing. Like there's a lot of bigger streamers that are still playing. I don't know if they're playing right now, but they were.
Yeah, I think chat was saying they're playing right now. Which is cool.
So there you go.
Well, cool. I don't. Anything else you guys want to say about Tarkov? Obviously, we could talk about it in future shows, but we got Chris here. I think we covered most stuff that I had questions about, and we talked about the drop system a little bit and the success that it was.
I'm just really excited, man. I came to Twitch where check the gun thing out there. Look, this is a cool feature in the game. You can actually raise the gun above your head
for recoil.
So if you're behind cover. Not for recoil. But say you've got cover here and the gun's like this, and you're like, I can't get my gun onto the guy. You can actually lift your gun up and blind fire, but it actually correctly projects where the bullet will be, but you can't tell on your screen where it will be. So you have to kind of aim the barrel where you think. And you can also shoot around the corner. So let's say there's a guy down here and there's a wall here. You can walk up and literally turn your gun sideways and blind fire like this and kill people. Which is you can do it for shits and giggles like I did there, but you can also do it really tactically.
Oh yeah,
it's just another. Seriously, this game has the best gunplay in a survival realism style game you've ever seen. It's the best gunplay. It's so cool.
Yeah,
but there's I'm just saying.
Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, please.
I was just gonna say, like, for me, coming to Twitch from DayZ YouTube. And just that vibe of like people on the edge of their seat watching a super tense fight where it's like, oh, there's so much on the line. When you watch games like PUBG or Call of Duty or any shooter, really, it's kind of, especially the looter shooter ones, it's kind of like people can just sit back and watch, and when you die, they go, oh, well, it doesn't really mean that much. And DayZ was special because it gave you that massive survival adrenaline. When I got shot at in DayZ, people like, he's been playing this for 10 hours. If he dies, he loses that 10 hours. And Tarkov's got that same adrenaline spike for both the streamer and the viewer. And I think it's really reinvigorating Twitch back to this kind of adventure, survival, adrenaline style of watching, where I think people are so used to just watching Call of Duty, where you just sit there and go, oh, look, he got 35 kills and 8 deaths.
Fortnite, okay. Really?
Yeah, Fortnite, all of that. You die, you requeue, you're back flying, dropping into the next round. And, it's only tense in those final 1v1s at the edge of the circle. Whereas Tarkov's just tense all the time, and it really has a very unique feel. And I think that might be part of why it's doing so well on Twitch. The drops and the new streamers brought people in, and people watched it and went, "Whoa! I've never had my heart rate rise by watching someone play a game before." And then they're sticking around, and I'm super excited for the next. I think 2020, if the devs stay on track, because they developed this game like crazy. Like it's DayZ. This is an example. In the last 12 months, Tarkov have added like 20-something guns, 20-something armors, multiple maps, AI revamps. They add bosses to the maps now, so they're like elite AI that's like a challenge for you to kill. All sorts of mad stuff.
That's cool.
So that's just in 1 year. But then in DayZ, they took all the guns out of the game 2 years ago. And the latest patch is like, hey, we added the gun back in that we took out 2 years ago. So they're putting content in that was in 2 years ago, maybe one gun every 6 months. So just to give you an idea of how much this game is ramping, the content push on this game is outrageous. The devs are doing an amazing job.
It's cool.
And here's where it gets even crazier. The game in its current state is a fraction of where they want it to be. So right now there's 8 available maps. There's supposed to be even more than that on release. You can see when you're selecting a map, there's like a bunch of maps that just say not available yet. But here's where it gets nuts. This game is going open-ish world, to where they want there to be like expeditions into the zone. So like you start in one zone, you then have to traverse that to then go into another zone. You then do stuff in that zone, maybe go even deeper into like an enemy stronghold or something. At that point, you have to live through that and then fight all the way back out to your hideout. So like what's cool is when you're in a map, some of the exfiltration zones will be like road to customs or factory entrance. And these are other maps in the game. So right now you're just running to them and exfilling and your round is ending. But eventually you will go to those zones and it will take you to a different zone, in which case you will then have to cumulatively work through and then survive on that map as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, this game is even now in its pretty damn well developed form. Like Sacker was saying, like this game it feels a lot of times like a finished game, even though it's not. And the way in the direction you're taking it,
0.12.
So much more than what's already in the game. So there's actually a guy that used to be on the design team named Clean, and he's a big Tarkov streamer as well. And if you get him talking about like the stuff that's coming for this game, I'll give him like 30 minutes because it'll blow your mind. Like all the different amount of stuff that they're bringing in. They plan on bringing in.
Yeah,
they do a podcast every few weeks. Where they just sit there and he'll just like shout to his designer in the background like, hey, bring me the picture of the new gun, and they'll like show the guy's screen and he's like in Maya or whatever, just like modeling guns, and he'll talk to the map guys like, show them the airport we're making, and they'll just like show a wireframe of a building from the new maps. They're super transparent with a lot of the development stuff, and they just show you loads of like, hey, here's an animation for the new gun jam system, and they'll start showing you all sorts of cool animations. They're unlike a lot, again, I feel bad using DayZ as a reference, but with DayZ, you kind of don't know what's happening for 6 months, and then they go like, we added a new tree, and it's like, okay. But with these guys, they do a regular podcast. The guy Nikita, the lead designer, who also does the music, and it's the best menu music in like modern gaming.
Gene Byrne, look him up on SoundCloud.
So good. He's on Reddit, so people go on Reddit and go like, hey, like the price for this thing is wrong, because if you buy it here, you can sell it there for profit. And it'll reply on Reddit like fixing. And then in game, 10 minutes later, it's fixed. And you're like, what? He's literally on Reddit fixing like balance issues and changing the way things spawn and how much they cost. Just off people like messaging him on Reddit and going, is this meant to be like this? He's like, oh, no, it's not. And he fixes it within an hour. It's absolutely insane. Sorry, Zeke.
No, I'm just wondering, I know we got to wrap up soon, but I was wondering, do you think this game is going to have like competition, like stuff like at a like convention, like have
esports,
like people, sort of like that, people playing together, or do you think it doesn't need it or it won't do it?
I can't think of a situation where they could turn this into an esport. Okay. I think first of all, Nikita is very, very set in his vision. He loves survival games, and he's actually said he's making this game for himself, and he doesn't play it until it's version 1. He's like, I just want to make my perfect game, and until it's ready, I'm just going to keep making it. And I don't think he wants to get distracted with like, 4v4 rounds and scoreboards and Twitch rivals and all.
For it,
yeah, they'd have to really divert a lot of their attention and completely revamp the nature of the game. As it is at the moment, you can play solo, you can play with like up to like 4 or 5 friends. It's an amazing experience, but I really don't think it needs any kind of esports crowbarring.
Also, like the big thing with esports, it's all about common ground. It's all about giving everyone the same amount of tools and the same playing field, so then their skill can dictate their position and how good they are. This game kind of flips that on its head, because if you know the map well, that's an advantage. If you know where to get before someone else, that's an advantage. Where you are at what times is an advantage. You know, like there's so many things in this game that have nothing to do with skill, but are just like knowledge and know-how and things of that nature. and that it just wouldn't lend itself to esports. Like it's there's too much random. There's just too much extra going on for it to be something that you'd really want to watch someone do competitively. It's more about the experience and the journey of your individual rounds than it is like, you know, really doing well or something. And also, even the best players get Tarkov'd all the time. There's no, like, it's part of the game is dying regularly and losing all the stuff that you've got. So it's just, yeah, it doesn't really fit the formula of esports.
Makes sense. Well, cool. That'll do it for our show. We're a little bit over, so we'll still do some shout outs though here at the end. Chris, you want to start us off? I think Zeke and Co are flipped, so we'll have some fun with that. But I think you should still be good if you want to do some shout outs and tell people where they can check you out. Please be good.
Sure. Hello. Hey, my name is Dr. Strange, according to JP. But I go by the name of Sacriel on Twitch. I am going to be playing Tarkov like I've been playing 12 to 14 hours a day for like the last 20 days or something silly. And that's going to be the foreseeable future. Really enjoying playing it. I played with Co a bunch. I've been playing with some of my other friends, Anthony Kongfan and Grims. Yeah, you can find me on Twitch under Sacriel or everywhere else as Sacriel42, YouTube and so on. Hope you found my ranting educational.
Awesome stuff. All right, Zeke, do shout outs as if you were Co.
Hey everybody, nice. I'm CohhCarnage. You can find me everywhere at CohhCarnage, and I've been streaming. I've been loving the Tarkov. Tomorrow we're gonna have half the day of Tarkov, and the other half of some other game that I'll pretend to like. All right, so I'll see you there. Follow me. I'll be live early in the morning. Good morning and good vibes.
Thanks, Co. Zeke, please do some shout outs for us.
Sure. Let's see. My name's Zeke. Stream good. I have fun. Come watch me suck at games.
All right, thanks, Zeke. Appreciate it.
Tough but fair.
Appreciate it. We'll be back next week, maybe, for episode 3 of Drop Frames. We'll see if we make it that far.
I broke my light.
Welcome to my world, homie.
Yeah, now you really are Zeke. Now you're living the Zeke.
Oh, wait, I just hit my butt. Oh, no, it disconnected. Oh, God.
Uh-oh. Now you really done.
Oh. Man, I role-played that too well.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
It's too well done.
Jeez.
Well done.
I will be streaming after this in about less than an hour.
What are you streaming?
And I'm actually playing Monster Hunter World all day tomorrow for Iceborne.
Not Tarkov. Yeah.
I'm pretending to enjoy it.
I'm finishing Fran Bow.
I need to enjoy it. Yeah.
Fran Bow, right? Yeah, we need to talk about that. That's the horror game, right?
Yeah, sort of. It's by the makers of Little Misfortune.
Oh, okay.
It's their previous game.
Gotcha. Yeah. That's it. Cool. That's it for Drop Frames. Thanks everyone for watching. We will see you guys next week at 1 p.m. Eastern for another show. We're out.
Thank you for having me, JP. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, thanks for coming on the show, Chris.
Love you, buddy.
Thank you very much, Zach. I really appreciate it, buddy.
We'll see you guys next
mustache on my face.
Wait, what?
Nothing.